Hey guys, Abby here. How are you guys doing today? So today we have a video all about pegging. I've had some questions about it, and we know that our dear Pam and Bruce have engaged in it now, crossed that threshold, so to speak. So I am bringing you ways to do it properly. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it is, how to do it properly, aftercare, safety, things like that, in case it's something you've been interested in doing but weren't sure how to go about. Personally, for me, this isn't something that myself or hubby have any interest in. But to each his own, not here to judge. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will do my best to answer them. If you want to share your story, please leave it in the comments and or email me. I'll leave you my email at the end, so you guys can send me your stories. But let me get lit up here and we'll get into it. So you may ask, what exactly is pegging? And initially, it was defined as a cisgender woman who dons a strap-on to anally penetrate her cis male partner. But as this has evolved to be more inclusive, it is now defined as the main features of it being anal tango and a strap-on, and not so much the gender assigned to it. So now that we know exactly what it is, why do people enjoy it so much? Most people find it hot to try, and something that some can find that it is physically, mentally, and emotionally hot. So, oh shoot, I hit something and I don't know what I hit. I lost my info. Oh. There we go. So, back on track here. In the physical aspect, it feels good to the receiver. For those who have penises, they have a very dense prostate. And it's also called the P spot. Which is accessed anally through penetration. It can also unlock a very intense prostate orgasm, and the entrance and canal has as many nerves at around about 4,000. Wow. That is a lot of nerves, a lot of sensation, a whole lot of things going on there. For the giver, it can be pleasurable as well, when the base of the dildo presses against the pubic mound or clitoris. Not to mention, rocking against your partner can feel like dry humping them, which is you know, how many of us really experience our first ever orgasm? Pegging switches up the roles in heterosexual pairings where only one partner is the penetrator and the other is the penetrated. And switching roles can be psychologically and emotionally arousing for both partners. Now, again, in this information that I found, it speaks mainly of heterosexual, but as we found earlier on in the definition, it's not so much assigned to a gender anymore. So, other reasons that this can be pleasurable is because it is often used in a BDSM way to exert power over the other, and of course, it doesn't have to be only the submissive that's taking the pegging. The dominant can too, depending on what your dynamic is. So, now we ask, how do you bring it up? Because you can't just show up and pull these out mid-play and tell your partner to put it on. Talk about it. That's how. And again, with anything, I always promote open and honest conversations. But, you know, if you're unsure of how to bring it up, you know, casually say to your partner that you've read an article about it and thought it might be hot to explore together. Get their thoughts on it. Get their feedback and kind of go from there. You can gauge how receptive they are to that idea, suggestion. Ask them if they've ever thought about exploring the pleasure potential of your prostate. You're not going to know unless you ask, right? And so if you're ready to explore this, the next step is to purchase a pegging set or dildo and harness separately. And of course, most importantly, lube. Lube, lube, lube. Because my friends, if you're going to engage in this, you want it to be comfortable, not painful. Those items can be all purchased separately or they can be purchased as a set. You know, there's lots of options with sizes and styles of harnesses. Although I will say, with regard to the size, you might want to start out small. You don't want to go from 0 to 100 in the first, right out the gate, because that's just gonna put a hard stop to that fun. Some things to remember when you're looking could be, you're going to want to make sure it's of a medical grade silicone, which can be completely cleaned after use, and choose a gel-like water-based lube, as silicone-based lubes aren't compatible with silicone-based toys. Something to keep in mind there. Some other accessories. That are optional but can add to the stimulation and sensation that you would enjoy could be a vibrating C-ring or a wearable vaginal vibrator or a bullet vibrator. I am a big fan of the bullet vibrators, I will admit. Shh. Let my secrets out. drink. So anyway, just some other accessories to enhance the sensation and the feeling for both parties. You know, after talking about it, talk a little more. You know, talk about the positions you might want to try or the safe words you need to be using. Big fan of safe words as well. And what you want to achieve with it. Like, what is the ultimate goal, pleasure goal, that you have for you and your partner engaging in this? That's definitely something you're going to want to talk about because, you know, what's the end goal? And don't be upset if it doesn't happen the first go round. Sometimes these things take time, and leave a little bit of room for a learning curve. Would definitely be my suggestion there. You know, now when you get ready and get turned on, again, don't go from 0 to butt sex. Start with the kissing and the fondling and oral and things like that. You're gonna want to ease your anus into being penetrated. You can massage the ring of the muscles around the anus whenever the receiver is ready, using a well-lubed finger to penetrate. Make circles inside, slowly thrusting in and out. Make a come hither motion against the prostate. You know, come hither. And that's about 2 inches inside the anus along the front wall. And then once you're ready to penetrate with your toy, be sure to lather both the anus and the dildo with lube until they are really slick. Yeah, if you have a lube applicator to lube up the walls of the anal canal, even better. That's something I've never heard of, but apparently it's a thing. Who knew? That is definitely a no enter zone, so I didn't know. Sorry for the TMI, guys. You know, then the next thing, once you've done that and everything's inserted, go slow. Allow the receiver to accept the time to accept and adjust at their own pace. Once adjusted, you can thrust, make circular motions, have fun. But you definitely want to take it slow in the beginning to get things started. Otherwise, they're going to come to a complete halt and no fun will be had. Now that you've had your fun, we will ask, what about aftercare? Well, this should really be a non-negotiable, just because the tango is quite vulnerable in general, and with pegging even more so. It can be physically and emotionally intense for both, especially the receiver, who is usually not the penetrator. Not to mention that many men have never had anything in their rear, and so it is completely a new experience for them. which may surface some unpredicted emotions. So you're going to want to be ready for that. And although the emotions aren't being felt by just the receiver, but they can also be from the giver too, because they're exploring a more dominant role for the first time as well. Personally, I think it's important to support each other afterwards, to see how each other's feeling and share each other's thoughts. It can even just be a matter of cuddling or, grabbing a water for them or telling them how much they mean to them, you mean to them, and how much you love them, sort of thing. That goes a long way, and that is a very, very vulnerable situation, especially for the person being penetrated. So definitely pay attention to that. And what about soreness? Hoping, with the hopes that lots of lube and no limits were pushed past, there are anal suppositories that can help heal anal fissures if that becomes an issue. Just remember, STIs are always a possibility, and if that's a concern at all, use a condom over the dildo. Avoid using, just a small tip, avoid using oil-based lube if using a latex condom. If multiple partners are getting pegged, switch condoms before each partner. Buy a dildo that is made of non-porous material and wash the dildo and the harness after each use. You want to lower the risk of pain and micro tears by following the golden rule of anal, which is slick, slow, and communicate. And if the receiver is experiencing bleeding, persistent pain, sores, lumps, bumps, or discharge, by all means consult a healthcare professional. Don't put it off. This could be so very bad. And in conclusion, when it comes to pegging, it isn't for everyone, and that's okay. Like I said earlier on, it's not for me or hubby. That's just not something we're all that into. But there are plenty of other ways to give and get pleasure. So pegging does not have to be the end all be all of pleasure. That is all I have for you guys today. Hope you found this to be educational and interesting. Learned some new things. I definitely learned a few new things while making this video for you guys. I will leave you with this. When it comes to fetishes, we all have our thing. So just be patient and understanding and don't judge. And if you guys have any stories that you would like to share with me, please send it to haute.abby@gmail.com. And don't forget to click that little subscribe button if you're new here. Until next time, everybody.